Hello, everyone. Welcome to the English Speaking Show. I'm Jake.
And I'm Ella. So happy you are here with us today. Wherever you are listening from, welcome.
Ella, I've been thinking about something all morning.
What is it?
I have been living in this city for almost 4 years now, and I still cannot believe how fast that time has gone.
4 years. When did you first arrive?
I moved here in the spring of 2022, so I have been here since that spring, since everything felt new and a little scary.
Wait, did you notice what you just did?
What do you mean?
You said, I have been living here for almost 4 years, and then I have been here since that spring.
For and since.
Same city, same situation, 2 different words, and both were correct.
So what is the difference between them?
That is what today is about. The difference between for and since, and the tense that travels with each one.
Most people get that part wrong. I got it wrong for years.
We will also talk about ago, because for, since, and ago are 3 words that belong together. Confusing them is one of the most common mistakes in English.
And since actually has a second meaning too, one that has nothing to do with time at all.
Have you seen that before?
I had no idea until we started preparing this episode.
Friends, let's get into it. Let's start with for, because that is the word Jake used first, and it is the simpler of the 2 to understand.
For always answers one question. How long?
Exactly. For tells you the length of time, the duration, how much time has passed.
And what comes after it is always a period of time, never a date, never a specific day, always a length.
Like 2 hours, or 6 months, or 3 years. Or it could be a longer unit. A decade means 10 years, and a fortnight means 2 weeks in British English.
What about less specific ones, like for a long time, for ages?
Those work too. For a long time, for ages, for years, for a while. They are all lengths of time, just less precise.
And here is something also worth knowing. For a while and for a long time are not the same thing.
What do you mean?
For a while means a short period. It did not last long. For a long time means it went on and on. I tried running in the mornings for a while, about 3 weeks, and then I stopped.
3 weeks.
I know, but I have been walking to work for almost a year now. That is for a long time. Different length, very different experience.
So how do you know when to use for in the first place? There's a simple test. Ask yourself, can I replace this expression with a number plus a time unit?
Can you show me?
Sure. For a fortnight, can I replace that with a number plus a time unit?
Yes, 2 weeks. So for a fortnight works with for.
Exactly. For ages, can I replace that?
It's vague, but yes, it's still a length of time, so for works.
Now, for 2019, can I replace 2019 with a number plus a time unit?
No, 2019 is a specific year, a point in time, not a length.
So for does not work there. That belongs with since. Same with for last Tuesday. Tuesday is a specific day, not a length of time.
So the test is simple. If I can swap the expression with a number plus a time unit, use for. If I cannot, it probably belongs with since.
That one question saves you every time.
Now, here's something about for that makes it really interesting. It works with many different tenses, and the tense changes the meaning completely.
How?
Think about this sentence. She ran that cafe for 8 years. Past simple. What does that tell you?
She does not run it anymore. It's finished.
Exactly. Now, she has been running that cafe for 8 years, present perfect. What does that tell you?
She's still there, right now, today.
Exactly. Same cafe, same 8 years, but the tense tells you whether it's over or still happening.
So for doesn't change. The tense around it changes.
That's the rule. Past simple plus for, the situation ended. Present perfect plus for, It's still continuing.
I have a personal example. I studied Italian for 2 years at evening classes. Past simple. I stopped going. That chapter is closed.
And something still continuing?
I've been waking up at 6 every morning for about 9 months now. I started when I changed jobs. Present perfect. Still happening. Every single morning.
Do you actually enjoy it?
Some mornings, yes. Some mornings, absolutely not. But I do it.
And notice in both of Ella's sentences, she used for, but the tenses are completely different because the situations are completely different. One ended, one is still going.
And this is the important principle. A continuing action uses present perfect plus for. A completed action uses past simple plus for.
Can I use since with a completed action too?
No, and that's the key difference between them. Since always implies the situation is still happening right now. You cannot use since for something that already ended. We'll come back to that in a moment.
One more thing about for. In casual spoken English, native speakers sometimes drop it completely. They say, I haven't seen her in ages, or she's been working there years, without for.
You will hear this, but in your own speaking, always keep for in. It is always correct. Dropping it is something that comes naturally later.
So for answers one question, how long? It always follows a period of time.
And the tense around it tells you whether the situation is finished or still going. Now, since. Same family as for, but it answers a completely different question.
For answers how long, since answers when did it start.
Exactly. Since points to the beginning, the exact moment where everything started. Not how much time has passed, but where on the timeline it began.
And what comes after since?
A specific point in time, a year, since 2018, a time of day, since early this morning, a named event, since the promotion, since the wedding, since day one.
It can also be a full sentence. Since she changed teams, everything has been smoother. Since he moved to a new city, we barely speak.
And the ing form works too, when the subject is the same in both parts. Since joining the company, since finishing university, since switching careers.
So what is the decision test for since the way we had one for?
Same idea. Ask yourself, can I replace this with a specific date, a time, or a named event?
Since last Tuesday, yes, that is a specific day. Since the accident, yes, that is a named event. Both work with since.
But since 3 years, no. 3 years is a length of time, not a starting point. That belongs with for.
So the two tests together cover everything. Can I replace it with a number plus a time unit? Use for. Can I replace it with a specific date or event? Use since.
Now, the tense. Since almost always travels with the present perfect, and this is where a lot of learners make a very consistent mistake.
What mistake?
They say, I am here since Monday, or she is a nurse since 2015, present simple. But in English, that is wrong. The correct form is, I have been here since Monday. She has been a nurse since 2015.
Because the situation is still happening right now, so it needs the present perfect.
Exactly. And this mistake is so common because in many languages, French, Spanish, Arabic, Italian, you would use the present simple for this. It feels completely natural in those languages, but English works differently.
I made this mistake for a long time. I thought present simple was fine.
Most learners do, but once you know, you cannot unknow it.
Now, since can also do something else. It can stand alone at the end of a sentence, with nothing after it.
What do you mean?
We had a disagreement 2 years ago, and we have not spoken since. Since is standing alone there, but the meaning is clear, from that moment until right now.
And ever since is the stronger version. She got that feedback from her manager, and everything has been different ever since. Natural, very common in conversation.
And there is one more thing about since, the surprising thing I mentioned in the introduction.
Go on.
Since can mean because, nothing to do with time at all. Since we are already here, we might as well start. Since the meeting ran late, nobody had lunch.
And the way you tell the difference is simple. When since means time, the main part of the sentence usually comes first and uses present perfect. When since means because, it introduces a reason, and the main clause uses any tense.
So the position and the tense of the main sentence are the signals.
Exactly. Context always makes it clear.
Now, the clearest way to see the difference between for and since is to look at the same situation expressed both ways. I've been at my current job for 2.5 years.
And I've been at my current job since the autumn of 2022.
Same job, same me. But for gives the length, 2.5 years. Since gives the starting point, the autumn of 2022.
Both correct, both natural. The question you're answering decides which word you use.
So if someone asks, how long have you worked there, I answer with for.
Yes, for 2.5 years. But if someone asks, when did you start, you answer with since the autumn of 2022. Same information, different focus.
And here's something I find interesting. For feels factual. It gives a number, a measurement. Since feels more personal. It points to a real moment.
What do you mean?
I've been more careful about my health for about a year. That tells you the duration, but I've been more careful about my health since my doctor gave me some difficult news last winter. That tells you the story.
Since anchors everything to a real moment. That's why it feels heavier sometimes.
It really does. And that's what for and since actually are, the two ways English tells your story in time.
I want to share something that happened to me because I think a lot of people listening will recognize this.
Go on.
About 2 years ago, I was on a work call with a colleague in London, a weekly check-in, nothing formal. I was running late because of a problem with my internet connection. I sent her a voice message to explain. I said, "Sorry, I'm dealing with this connection problem since 1 hour. On my way now."
2 mistakes in one sentence.
2 mistakes. Present simple, am instead of have been, and since 1 hour instead of for 1 hour. I felt completely confident when I sent it.
What happened?
She was kind about it. At the end of the call, she said, "Just a small thing. We would say, I have been dealing with this for an hour, or since just after 9 if you want to use since." She explained both corrections in about 30 seconds.
And did it land?
It landed permanently because she didn't just correct me, she explained why. For gives the length, since gives the starting point, and both need the present perfect because the situation was still happening when I sent the message.
That's the kind of correction that actually changes how you speak.
It really is. And friends, if you've been saying sentences like that too, you're not alone. Every language handles this differently. What matters is that right now you know the difference.
So, for tells you how long, since tells you when it started. Write that down. That one sentence covers every decision. Now, there is a third word that belongs in this conversation, and it is one that learners often confuse with both for and since.
Which one?
Ago, and it works very differently from both of them.
Ago always refers to a finished point in the past. It measures how far back something happened from right now, and it always uses simple past, never present perfect.
So, she moved to a new city 2 years ago. Simple past. That moment is in the past and it is done.
The simplest way to remember all three together: ago goes with simple past for a finished moment, for goes with present perfect for the duration of something still happening, since goes with present perfect for the starting point of something still happening.
So, for and since both travel with present perfect. Ago travels with simple past.
Exactly. And once you know that, a very common mistake becomes easy to avoid.
Which mistake?
Combining since and ago, learners sometimes say, I have been working here since 3 months ago. It sounds unnatural to a native speaker.
Because since and ago are both pointing to the past, it is like saying the same thing twice.
Right, so instead, pick one clean option. I have been working here for 3 months, or I have been working here since January, or I started working here 3 months ago. All three are natural, since 3 months ago is not.
And before we move on, write one correct sentence in the comments using for or since, something real from your own life. Writing it out loud forces your brain to use the grammar, not just understand it. Now let's hear everything we have covered in one real conversation. Two friends, completely natural. See if you can spot for and since as they come up.
Ready?
Ready. Nadia, it feels like forever. How long has it been?
Too long. I think it has been almost 8 months since we last met properly.
8 months. That went so fast. So, how is the new job going?
Really well, actually. I have been there for 4 months now. Still learning, but I feel settled.
And you left the agency after a long time, right?
6 years. I worked there for 6 years before I finally decided to leave.
Understanding. That is a long time to be somewhere. What made you decide?
Honestly, I had been feeling restless for a while, but the real moment was when my manager left last spring. Since then, I just knew it was time.
And the new place? Is it very different?
Completely different. The pace, the people, everything has changed since I joined. In a good way.
You seem much happier.
I am. I have not felt this energized for years. Since I started there, I've been sleeping better, thinking more clearly, even my weekends feel different.
That is what a good job does to you. How about you? Are you still at the same place?
Wait, how long have you been there now?
Since the autumn of 2020, so almost 5 years.
5 years. Do you enjoy it?
Most days, yes. I've been there for a long time now, long enough to know what I want next.
I think we have both grown a lot since we last properly talked.
We really have. We shouldn't leave it another 8 months.
Agreed.
Okay, let's look at what just happened in that conversation.
Nadia said, it has been almost 8 months since we last met properly. That's the it has been plus since structure. The starting point is the last time they met. Present perfect, has been.
She also said, I worked there for 6 years before I finally decided to leave. Past simple plus for. The 6 years at the agency are finished. She no longer works there.
And then, I have been there for 4 months now. Present perfect plus for. She is still at the new job today. Same word for, completely different tense, completely different meaning.
Sam said, since the autumn of 2020. Since followed by a specific point in time, and I have been there for a long time now. For with a vague duration. Both natural, both correct.
And notice, Nadia said, since I started there, I have been sleeping better. Since followed by a full clause describing the moment everything changed. Not a date, not a year, a real event.
That's one conversation, and for and since appeared naturally throughout. Let's bring everything together, one final time.
For tells you the length of time, how long something has been going on. It always follows a period of time, precise or vague, and the tense around it tells you whether the situation is still happening or already finished.
Since tells you the starting point, the exact moment where something began. It follows a specific date, a time, a named event, or even a full clause, and it almost always travels with present perfect because it implies the situation is still true right now.
And ago marks a finished moment in the past, always simple past, never present perfect. 3 words, 3 completely different jobs.
And the important rule, for tells you how long, since tells you when it started.
Write that down. That one sentence makes every decision for you.
And I want to come back to something from the very beginning of this episode. I said, I have been living in this city for almost 4 years, and I have been here since the spring of 2022.
Both correct, both natural. Same city, same Jake, just two different questions answered.
And both very different from I stay here since 3 years.
Very different, but now you know exactly why.
Now, your challenge. Write one sentence in the comments using for and one using since, something real from your own life. Writing it yourself forces your brain to use the grammar, not just understand it.
It could be about your job, your city, your English learning, anything. 2 sentences, your life. That is real practice.
And if today's episode helped something click for you, there's one more episode we want to point you to. We did a full episode on during and while, another pair of time words that confuse a lot of learners. The link is in the description.
During, while, for, since, they are all connected. Once you understand all of them together, a huge part of how English expresses time becomes clear.
And if you're not subscribed yet, please do. New episodes comes out every week, all of them built exactly like this one. Real English, real depth.
Thank you so much for listening today. We'll see you in the next one.
See you next time.